Happy Thursday and welcome to GMNC. My name is Sixolile Mboza and I'll be with you this morning actually. On today's show we have a great lineup for you. We kickstart off with our daily motivation with Sharon and her coachee Janine Cloete. We will then have Warren Loader with Thoughts of a Middle-Aged Man blog. We will then also have Brendon Balaram from Relax in Events and Accommodations. We will then have Annabelle Costa from Costa Inc., who is going to be talking to us about some property advice. Up next, we are going to be having a pre-recorded interview with the ADCA, something to look forward to. We will then end off with Heili and Deon Bosman with our weather and surf report. And to close off, we will also be having our music video with Elmboog. But for now, we are going to be talking to Sharon, who is here on the couch, with our coachee Janine Cloete. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, nice to be here again.
Fantastic. Can you just motivate and serenade us this morning?
I don't know about the serenading, not much of a singer, but we'll try with the inspiration and the motivation.
I love that.
Yeah, you know, we've been so blessed to being able to bring some guests along. And this morning I've got Janine Cloete with me, who's one of my coaches on the Mindfit Coaching Academy program.
Yeah.
And we're going to just be talking about something that feels quite good to talk about, and that's about being busy.
Yeah.
Janine is a very busy woman. She's a wife and a mother. She has a sideline business and she's got another business, and she's trying to become a life coach. Well, trying is probably not the right word. She is halfway to becoming a life coach. And I wanted to talk about being enough. You know, so I've looked at Janine, and why I wanted to invite her here today is like, Janine, is it not enough for you to be all of these things? What is it that inspired you to become a life coach?
Well, Sharon, yes, my life is quite busy, but personal development has always been near to my heart. My philosophy in life is to add value to every life I touch. That brings me pure joy. Obviously, we have to be busy, we have to generate an income for our family, but I believe in having passion projects, which brings you pure joy. And I've done multiple courses with you, all about the mind, and I've always been drawn to your teachings. And when you said you're going to do the Mindfit Coaching Academy, it was an absolute no-brainer. For me, adding value to people's life, making a difference has been something that's been a part of my life since I've been quite young. People have always naturally come to me if they seek any form of guidance or help. So it was just the next natural step for me to become an accredited life coach. And the Mindfit Academy was just something, it was the missing link for me. The principles that are taught in the Mindfit Academy are so simple. Everyone thinks personal development is so serious, and it's just, you know, you have to learn about all these different hectic philosophies, but it's actually so simple. And when I started doing the course, we did a workshop for 3 days, I just had that aha moment where I could actually go, hang on, this is so simple, you know? And something else that it's taught me is, by being busy, we've been conditioned to be in a state of stress, anxiety, and worry. If you're not worrying, then you're not normal.
Yeah.
But what we've learned in this coaching academy is that you have to operate from a state of calm.
Right.
Imagine that. You can be busy,
Yeah.
but you need to be calm, because that's where the creativity and the magic happens.
Wow, Janine, I love the way that you've said that one. That's true, because we've seen when you're in a state of stress, you can't think clearly.
No, you can't.
And that's when you start making mistakes and you can't find solutions to problems. And you know, that brings me back to that, you know, you are enough. Imagine what would happen if you woke up every single day and you said, I'm enough. Wow. Imagine what would fall away if you stopped worrying about what other people might think, and you stopped being so stressed about what you have to do, and you just came from a place of complete relax and calm.
Wow.
Because when you're in that state, you can find the solutions, because then all of the capacity to think, your cognitive function really kicks in, rather than you being in a state of stress. So, you know, I love the idea of getting up in the morning and just saying to yourself, wow, I'm not perfect. Because perfect means, no, that's not enough.
Yeah.
I'm enough. I'm human. And in my humanity and in my spirituality, because the two you cannot separate, when those two are working in sync together, you have the magic formula. And simply knowing that the way you think, number one, is going to create the way that you feel. And your feelings are kind of like your barometer, it's your indicator to help you to know the state of mind that you are functioning in. And I'm sure any professional will tell you that when they are, you know, in the state of stress and anxiety, it's kind of like, oh my word, what next? What do I do now? And there's just no oxygen going into the brain. And the minute you take a breath, you just step away, just for a moment, the wisdom flows out of you. Now, most people think that's something that you have to find. There's a place to go to. But I'm here to tell you today that there's nowhere to get to. You are already exactly who you need to be. You are already enough. There's no destination. This is it right here, right now. And when you take that on, it kind of feels like there's this relaxed way of being, because you're not trying to be anything else. You know, if you're trying to be something that you've seen out there, it means you're going to be the worst version of something else. Why not be the best version of yourself?
Wow, I like that.
You know, and the best version of yourself is with everything that's already happened to you. All of those things have been conducive. They have been the very things that have brought you to this place. And it means that that path, that journey that you've taken has been exactly in divine right perfection. Now, a lot of people will hear that and say, yeah, but I've got to get there and I've got to do this and I've got to study that. That's okay. But do it from a place of calm, because that way you're not trying to overstep your wisdom that's trying to guide you. Your wisdom will nudge you. You'll take a path and you'll say, I feel like I want to go down this path. And when you get on the path and it's not quite right, you'll know. But you've got to get on the path.
Of course.
So, you know, it's not really up to you, but it's also not up to you. You've got to listen for the wisdom that can only come when you're quiet and when you're calm. And then when it comes, you take that step, and if it feels good, you take the next step, because you can only just take one step at a time. All you really have is now. You don't have the next moment. You don't have tomorrow. You've got now. Yes, you can set some goals, you can have that direction, but there's nothing more you can do except with what you have right here, right now. And if you take that on in a calm space and in a very kind way to yourself, with being enough, with exactly who you are now, the world really opens up to you. And it sounds so cliched, but it's the truth. Because if you, with your limited humanity, are trying to think what it is you need to do next, the limits will keep you there. But if you open up to the wisdom that can come through you, which is always there 24/7, never goes away. You might shut it out, but it never shuts you out. And what you are looking for is looking for you.
And I just love what you're saying. It makes so much sense. And as you're speaking, I'm actually receiving the calmness myself, and I'm breathing slowly, and everything is starting to be clear, normal, and I think that's fantastic.
So it is a feeling. You've hit the nail on the head. It's not the way you're thinking. Sometimes your thoughts are not right. Don't trust them. They will lie to you, because that's the programming. But the feelings will give you the indication of what's going on. So in other words, if you're driving your car and there's a little light flashing, you look at the light, you check it out, and you see, oh, I need fuel, I need oil. You don't cover it up and say, no, I'll be fine, I'm just carrying on. You've got to take note, because if you don't, you're going to get stuck. Same with life. There's a little indication, and it's the feeling that tells you, oh, this is the quality of my thinking. I'm not this, I'm not that. That's the quality of your thinking. And that's the way you're going to show up in the world. So once you've got that right, honestly, the rest is so simple. That's the key. The way you are feeling is the indicator of what you are thinking and nothing else. It's inside out, this way. If you're looking out there and thinking, that's got to be better for me to feel better, that's when you get into trouble.
Well, ladies, thank you very much for that. And I'm telling you, Sharon, what you're saying actually works. I'm calmer now. You know, everything has become clear. Thank you very much for those words. Thank you for coming through, Janine, as well. Well, ladies, it's really been an eye-opener for me. Well, coming up next after the advert, we're going to be speaking to Warren Loader from Thoughts of a Middle-Aged Man. He has an awesome story that he's going to be talking to us about with regards to the Trooper Night and the Insuzi affair after this.
At 1018 Skryfproefdes Ballito, we offer an array of convenience services for our clients. With an in-store, fully operational business center, all under one roof. 1018 Skryfproefdes Ballito is fully stocked with all your leading stationery brands. Proudly Ballito for Ballito.
Welcome back to GMNC, and as promised, we have Warren Loader from the Thoughts of a Middle-Aged Man blog, who's going to be talking to us about the Trooper Night and Insuzi affair story. So, how are you, Warren?
I'm very well, thanks, and yourself?
Fantastic.
Good.
Just tell us about why you decided to write about this specific story.
Oh, this story was quite interesting, actually.
It is.
My wife, Amy, came to me and she said, I found this map in this book,
okay,
and it's got an X there, and that's where this guy's buried, and you need to go and take a look at it.
Okay.
And I looked at her and I thought, are you crazy? You don't read history books, what's going on here? So I thought it was very interesting,
yeah,
and started looking up and reading up more about it,
yeah,
and couldn't find any information, actually.
All right.
So I eventually got a hold of a historian, a very well-known historian over in the UK called Ian Knight.
Okay.
And he's into Anglo-Zulu War history.
Oh.
And he sent me a whole lot of information, because this was from the Bambata Rebellion in 1906.
Oh my word.
And he sent me a whole lot of information, which didn't help either. So it just gave me a couple of photographs and a couple of pointers.
Okay.
So that's how it all started, yes.
Wow, I'm so intrigued to actually learn more about the story, because I actually told you before that I was actually reading your blog, and it's so interesting, and I like your investigative skills that you have. Just talk us through the journey of you finding all the information that you ended up finding at the end.
Well, basically, we decided we're going to get this map, we're going to go and take a look. We printed out some photographs.
Yeah.
My little son was in two minds. He was like, do I go to Granny's house,
okay,
or do I go with Dad? And eventually Granny won the one.
Oh, yeah.
So I took my older son with me,
yeah,
and we just took a drive, and we drove down to the Insuzi River. and the main place that we wanted to find out to see if the original homestead, the store, was still there. And we drove up the road and we just recognized it straight away.
Oh my word.
We got outside and there was a whole lot of old kettlers sitting outside.
Yeah.
And we approached them and they all came around and started questioning and talking to each other.
Yeah.
And no one really knew too much about it.
Yeah.
And then a young policeman, Constable Kamalo, he came up to us and he said, he knows exactly what are we talking about. He said he grew up in the area.
Yeah.
He said, is it the one that's got 4 metal poles around it? I said, yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
He said, I know exactly where it is. He said, it's nowhere near here.
Yeah.
So we went on another 10-kilometer trip back towards Belito side.
Okay.
Over the hills and around corners. And then we turned off on a road that I didn't even knew existed.
Yeah.
And after about a kilometer, he pulls off on the side of the road and he said, this is the spot. And the road had just been redone.
Oh, okay.
And they missed his grave by probably about 2 meters. So if they had widened the road any more, he would have probably been lost forever.
Yeah.
So I was a bit skeptical at that point, thinking, well, there's nothing much here that shows us that this is where the grave was.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was an old man who had some goats, and he said, no, this is definitely the spot. He said, there used to be 4 metal poles here and a whole lot of rocks. I said, that's it. I showed him the photo. He said, no, that's it. He pointed to the exact same spot.
Yeah.
So that confirmed pretty much where he's buried now.
Wow.
So it was quite an interesting journey to go.
And I'm sure you must have been thinking to yourself that, oh my gosh, my wife found this map and we're going on this journey, adventure. You know, it must have been an exciting feeling to actually find the gravesite.
Very exciting, because often we go out and we search for days and we don't find anything.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
to actually find somebody's grave that's been forgotten for over 100 years is quite a moving experience at the end of the day. And I did say that one day we would go and put a concrete sort of like cairn or something like that there to market, which, probably 2 years later we haven't got around to doing it yet, but we definitely have to do that for him one day, for him and his family.
Yeah, can you just take me through on the fact that who is this gentleman and the part that he played in the history of this whole situation?
Well, what happened was it was near the end of the Bambatha Rebellion.
Okay.
And he was a member of the Transvaal Mounted Rifles, I think it was.
Okay.
And they were coming down from Nudsburg, probably about 30 kilometers from Belito, actually.
Okay.
Quite close, so it's not very far.
Close, yeah.
And they were actually attacked by a bunch of Zulus.
Okay.
And he was the only one that died.
Oh, man.
And there was a couple of others that were quite badly wounded. But they managed to carry his body about 10 kilometers along the road before they buried it. So they obviously were looking for a church or some place with a bit more civilization to bury him. And obviously they couldn't, so they buried him along the side of the road. And that's where his body's remained ever since.
And then are you actually currently making investigations onto getting his family so that maybe they can know where he's buried, or what's the end of the story? Because I'm sure this is just the beginning.
I haven't done anything further, but I have compiled a complete casualty list of the soldiers that died in the Bambatha Rebellion, which hasn't been done before. Luckily, it wasn't a lot of work. There were only about 31 soldiers that died.
Okay.
But I've actually been to every single one of their sites and taken a photograph of where they're buried. And Trooper Knight was the last one that we needed to try and find where he was buried. So that sort of finishes off that story. But you've actually opened up a couple of interesting things now, so I need to do some more investigating.
100%. Okay, well, thank you very much about that. And then if someone wants to actually know more about you, your blog, where can they actually contact you?
Well, I was thinking about that yesterday, actually, and I think it's quite a good idea, because There's a couple of people around in Belito that are interested in history, and I usually just go out by myself, find stories myself. So if there's other people out there that have got the same hobby as me,
I'm keen
to get hold of me. We can go out, I can take people out to go and show them a couple of places in the area, or if they know of places, they can say, hey, Warren, let's go on a weekend and go and look further into this story or that story. So yeah, they could get hold of me on my phone number. Don't know if you'd like me to give you my phone number.
Of course.
It's 072 889 0663. Give me a call and we'll make a plan to go out and do some more discoveries.
Well, thank you very much for that, Warren. I'm telling you, for myself, that story was very interesting, and I want to actually be one of those people that actually follow your blog so that I can know what's next for you.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much for that. We're going to be having, after the break, an interview with Brendon Balaram from Relax In Events and Accommodation, something to look forward to after the ad break.
By Belito Gas & Braai fokus ons op ons kliënte. Vriendelike en doeltreffende diens is wat ons anders maak. Ons werk as 'n span met integriteit en deursigtigheid. Hier bied ons kliënte onvergeetlike ervaring en werk ons met die beste belang van ons kliënt. Ons lewer nie net produkte aan ons kliënte nie, ons lewer ook 'n volledige diens, insluitend onderdele en tegniese ondersteuning.
Welcome back to GMNC. My name is Sixolile Mboza and I am hosting this morning's show. So as promised, in studio we have Brendon from the Relax In Events and Accommodation. Welcome, Brendon.
Morning, and thank you for having me again.
Oh, fantastic. Looking so nice, as I was complimenting you earlier.
Thank you very much.
So tell us about the Relax In, tell us your offerings, your accommodation. When did you guys open?
So we took over the current property that we're based at approximately 2.5 years ago. And ever since, we basically run the entire hotel, which has an on-site restaurant, which we spoke about the last time, dining.
Yes.
And we have Karen Landman and Of Secrets Health and Beauty Spa that's also on the property. So we're basically a triple threat. We accommodation, we have the restaurant and the spa.
Wow.
So we basically we tucked away just past the Samiti office park.
Okay.
And yeah, we're a 4-star establishment.
Wow.
And we have beautiful rooms, sea-facing rooms, so a perfect holiday spot.
Wow, perfect. So tell us about your events. What type of events do you guys offer?
So obviously pre-COVID, it was everything from conferences to shows like comedy shows and things like that.
Okay.
Whereas more recently, we focused on smaller crowds for weddings.
Yeah.
So obviously keeping in line with COVID restrictions,
Yeah.
we've had the smaller 50-person weddings, and that's basically the more recent events we've had. But we've got beautiful properties or beautiful options on the property itself.
Yeah.
So we've got the wedding pavilion, which is very popular.
Okay.
Especially during COVID, it's an open air wedding pavilion. So people like that idea because there's nothing closing you in. It's outside and it works perfectly for weddings. Or even we've had baby showers, we've had bridal showers. So that's quite a popular venue on the property.
Yeah.
And then we've got a 300-seater ballroom,
Wow.
which is beautiful, perfect for matric dancers and things like that.
Okay.
A lot of year-end corporate office functions, product launches and things like that.
So talking about COVID-19, how has that affected your business?
It's hammered us quite hard.
Yeah.
Initially, especially during the initial phases of hard lockdown, where there was hardly any traveling and our guest numbers were very, very, very low.
Yeah.
What's happened though, we saw at the start of this year, things slightly picked up, and up until the Easter period, things were going really well. Especially, I think we developed a sense of normal to some extent, and I think people knew what precautions to take and things like that.
100%.
So, you know, the mask wearing, sanitizing, all of that became a bit normal.
Yeah.
So I think that helped a lot because then we had weddings almost every weekend, and we had requests for weddings during the week. So, you know, it made life feel good again, especially on the event side.
Sure.
But unfortunately, especially with the recent level 4 restrictions, what had happened was there was no interprovincial travel. So we found that people weren't traveling. So if you had loved ones that were living in Joburg and you wanted to get married, you're not necessarily going to have it now because of the fact that your loved ones can't travel.
Yeah.
And then also with level 4, there was no events, so you couldn't even have weddings.
No,
in
you
fact.
couldn't. Yeah.
So those restrictions really impact the business. And but we have to soldier on, and we're lucky that we're in a situation now where weddings are open again. So it's just speaking to all of the potential brides and grooms, getting them to reschedule their dates, and
100%.
that's it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the restaurant and the spa. Okay, let's do the restaurant part because I've seen the type of food that you guys do, which looks amazing. Tell us about your menu.
Yeah, so our menu consists, there's 2 parts to it. So there's local South African Indian cuisine.
Okay.
So that's your local bani chows, curries,
I saw that.
biryanis, and very popular.
Yes.
And what we also recently introduced about a month and a half ago, we've introduced North Indian cuisine as well.
Oh yes, I remember that.
So
Yeah.
the North Indian cuisine is proper butter chicken, kormas, chicken tikkas, tandoori. We have a tandoori oven, which and we have a chef that's from India as well. And so that's a different side of the restaurant.
Yeah.
And we find that people are enjoying tasting new flavors and the
100%.
variety that we offer. Yeah.
With regards to your spa, how has that added value to your, for relaxing?
So Karen Landman is actually the owner of the spa.
Okay.
And what we found is that when our guests come through to the hotel, they're always looking for things to do, to actually relax and wind down a bit. So having the spa on site is absolutely perfect because you can have your glass of juice or wine or whatever the case is and just wind down and enjoy being pampered. So that's worked perfectly, and
And I've seen that you guys even offer those kind of, I don't know what it's called, a massage with where you put stones on people, those hot stones.
massages.
Oh my God! That looks so exciting.
Karen and team are amazing. Everyone enjoys that.
Yeah.
And what we found as well, I mean, we know whenever people come to the spa, and whilst they're waiting or whatever the case is, there's opportunity for them to then try out the restaurant. So, it's one hand shakes the other. It works really, really well because guests that come to the hotel automatically would want to use the spa and vice versa. So that's worked perfectly as well.
100%. So if anyone wants to book or come through, do an event, because now we're on level 3, free. So I'm sure you guys are able to facilitate events now.
Yeah, sure, we can. So if you're looking for an event, it's events@relaxin.co.za. So everything from weddings to smaller conferences, that type of thing. And then if you're looking for just general information on the property or want to book a tour with one of our consultants, it's info@relaxin.co.za.
100%. And how do you guys feel about customer satisfaction? Because one thing that I've seen on your Facebook site is that everybody's smiling, looking like they're having a good time. I saw these other ladies, I think they were having a hen's kitchen kind of situation. Everybody looks so happy and relaxed. Are you guys close to beaches maybe? Or like explain the whole site situation.
So basically from where we're based, we have a beautiful view of the Ballito Beach. So that's basically the eye catcher when you're at Relaxin.
Okay.
It's beautiful views whether you're in the rooms or whether you're in any of the actual venues on the property as well.
Yeah.
If you're looking out, I think that sea view is 1 in a million.
Breathtaking.
And people love it. And I think just that environment calms you down, puts you in good spirits.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the idea we want to have. We want our guests to be happy, to be relaxed, to enjoy the experience when they're with us.
100%. Well, thank you very much, Brendon, for coming through. It's really fascinating to have someone from a place of like relax in, because a lot of people are going through the most right now, you know.
No,
so
sure.
a situation of going out for an accommodation, going to relax, having a spa, having your favorite foods there, I think that's a place to be.
100%. It's you know, right now with the chaos, especially with the recent riots and things like that,
Yeah.
you just need a small escape. Just to get away from home, get a good meal, maybe just a night away from the hustle and bustle. We're the perfect spot.
100%. Well, you heard it here, folks, here at GMNC, that you need to get yourselves down to the Relax Inn and get your weddings, maybe your corporate event done by them, because they seem to be very excellent at what they do. After the break, we're going to be speaking to Annabelle Costa from Costa Incorporated, and when we come back from the advert. Thank you.
Sometimes the greatest test in life is being able to bless someone else while going through your own storm. Ballito TV is so excited to bring you Season 2 of A New You. After a bumper inspirational Season 1, we'd like to enrich your life and take you on a 13-week journey of learning, inspiration and spoils. This season covers not only the outer image, but we deal with overall health and well-being as well. And there are also many exciting spoils and treats for our winner. If you would like to enter A New You Season 2, please send us a photo and a motivation of no more than 250 words of why we should choose you. If you have a friend that you feel would benefit from this journey, you're welcome to enter on her behalf. We look forward to hearing from you and changing one lucky lady's life. Please send your entries in to A New You at Ballito TV. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to GMNC. My name is Sixolile Mboza, and as promised in studio, we have the gorgeous Annabelle Costa. And welcome back. I was supposed to say welcome back, but we're actually meeting for the first time.
Yes, thanks. I was on recently, but yeah, good first time with you.
100%. So Annabelle, for someone like me who's actually seeing you for the first time, someone who's watching for the first time, can you tell us more about yourself and your business?
Thank you. I'm a property lawyer, so I have a practice, or I started a practice specializing in property law. We've actually got an office here in Simbiti, and we've got an office in Mount Edgecombe.
Wow.
It's about 21 staff at the moment. Yeah,
21 staff.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So let's just go straight to it. So tell us, what's the law in regards to property plans?
So every property is meant to have the correct municipal plans in place, so architectural plans. So when you buy a piece of land, for example, and you want to build, you're meant to get architectural plans drafted. You're meant to submit them to the council's meant to approve them, then you can construct erect your structure on the property. There's a whole bunch of certificates you need to get. You have to submit those to the council, and the council need to give you an occupation certificate. By the same token, if you're wanting to make alterations to that property, you are actually meant to get plans to do so. If you want to put any structures on there, they need plans. And you need the permission to commence construction by the council and the certificates for that, those repairs, those alterations to be done. Yeah.
Well, Annabelle, one thing that I was very intrigued about you actually coming here is actually this whole explanation that you are actually giving us, because I didn't actually know that once now, because people think like this. I have a property, I bought my property, you know. So now when I want to make alterations or add something or remove something, I have to go to the council. And I found that very, very, you know, not like strange, but I'm hearing it for the first time.
Yes, absolutely. And people don't realize that if they want to start bashing down walls, moving windows, all of that, then you actually need plans. And this causes a bit of an issue in our day-to-day lives when we're handling property transactions. So we do, we help change of ownership of properties for people. And this causes an issue in our transaction.
Wow, I'm sure it does. So tell us, what's the difficulty do you have with your property transactions and plans?
So we're not actually, the conveyancers aren't technically meant to get involved with the plan side of things in a transaction. So if it just runs normally, the issue of plans is not raised. So for example, in sectional title, usually, you know, there's no issue there, but freestanding houses, usually there's a warranty by a seller that the plans are in order. But what we're finding is that buyers halfway along the transaction will think, oh, maybe I want to do some renovations, can I see the plans? And it turns out either the council have lost them, the owner doesn't have a copy, the council's lost them, or they are actually not correct, and you know, when that seller bought, they didn't realize that they weren't in order. So then we have the situation where our transaction has to stop. A buyer then can elect to wait out the seller getting the new plans, or we can agree on a retention. So if there's no issues with somebody building over a boundary line or building line that require neighbours' consent, we can do a retention out of the proceeds of the sale to give everybody time to get those plans, and the transfer can go through. Or in some cases, buyers have actually cancelled the sale because they don't want to wait and they don't want to allow a retention. So it does cause some issues, and we would find it would be a lot easier if, you know, when a seller wants to market their property, if they would go and figure out if the council have their plans, if they're in order, etc., and if not, either sell the property with a clause that says the buyer will take the responsibility for sorting that out, or get them done before they put it on the market, or, you know, anything like that. And by the same token, maybe prudent buyers should put it in the contract, so we know at the beginning of the transaction if there's going to be an issue or not. In Ballito, interestingly enough, years back, the municipality used to withhold transfer until they had done an inspection. So, well, they wouldn't issue the rates clearance until they'd come and done an inspection on the property to see that everything's in order. At the time, that was frustrating because a lot of transactions would get stopped. But it was also quite nice to know that next time round things would just run smoothly, and it's also fair for a buyer to get the property with everything, all the boxes ticked and everything in order, and if a buyer is not educated and they don't ask for these plans, there's a chance that they'll take transfer and they won't be in order. Also, if there's not a clause in the contract which says a warranty by a seller that the plans are in order, if the seller was unaware that the council's lost them or that the previous owners did alterations without plans, then toughies for them, basically. Footstoots clause would apply. So, it's kind of, we do find as people are getting more educated with property transactions, things are coming up and hopefully will become easier. But it would be nice for sellers to get the house in order 100%. In the beginning.
Well, thank you very much, Annabelle, for that. So if a person wants more advice, with what you guys are talking about, so where can we get you on socials? Where are your offices?
So the offices are in Simbiti Office Park. In Ballito. So otherwise they can look us up on www.dacostaattorneys.co.za and all our information's there.
Well, thank you very much for that. I've actually learned something. I won't lie to you. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence. You're looking lovely today, and we shall see you next time.
Thank you.
100%. So coming up next is a pre-recorded interview with the ADCA. Enjoy.
Greetings, sports fans. My name is Matt Williams, and I'll be your sports reporter on the brand new show called Good Morning North Coast. Catch the sports reports every Friday and Monday morning between 6 and 7.
Welcome to another episode of Charitable Discussions. Today, we're lucky enough to get to sit and talk to Rex Hunt from ADCA. Welcome, Rex.
Thanks very much, Zoe.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Let's start off. I would love to know very much from you, how does something like ADCA, that's against drugs and child abuse, how did that come about? What was the inspiration?
So in about November 2013, I just had a drop in my spirit that Ballito and the Dolphin Coast needed a place where people could come to. There's a place of safety to talk about their addictions, their problems, and a place that's not non-judgmental. And especially for the guys, I thought at that stage, we're quite an affluent area, and where do the guys go? Who can sort of bear their hearts? And so it was just put in my heart as a burden to try and create something like this. Have never done it before, and so I decided, let me look into it. So I looked into it and created a non-profit organization, and got a name for it. And here we are, 8 years later. I'm full-time at ADCA Against Drugs and Child Abuse.
That's incredible. Now, I know I asked you about this because the first time I saw the sign outside, it said Against Drugs and Child Abuse. And something I've always been curious about is how do the two correlate between drug use and child abuse?
Common question. Everyone asks me that. So I knew what I had to do was to help people against this whole industry of drugs, okay? And there's such a stigma that seems to be attached to it, but it doesn't actually need to be like that. So the against drugs was an easy part. But then I felt that the name wasn't complete. And I realized that a lot of people going into an addiction life are coming from a life of being abused as a child. So the child abuse came in them. So I don't coach children that are being abused. I coach adults that have been abused as a child, which has led them to start using drugs.
Okay, that makes sense. And I do know that it's not just drug abuse that you deal in. You deal in all different kinds of addiction as well?
Yeah, correct. So it's all different kinds of addiction. You know, addiction doesn't choose a person. Addiction is a spirit of addiction, and it'll go to any person, opens any door to it. So the main addictions that I deal with here are mind-altering substances, because these things alter a person's mind, and that needs incredible amount of help and support for. There are other addictions like gambling, for instance, that is not as mind-altering, but when a person gets locked into it and becomes a habitual addiction, then it does alter a person's mind in the way they think. So it's not always just a chemical.
Yes, no, that makes sense. And for those watching, I know you deal not only with the addicts, but you also deal with those that are in support and supporting recovering addicts. And I know that with the stigma surrounding addiction itself, what would you say to people to encourage them to step forward and to not have fear to step forward and ask you for help?
Yeah, Zoe, I think that's the hardest part for anyone is to actually pluck up that courage. And there are many times when a person's made an appointment and I sit here waiting for them, and I hear the vehicle drive in, then I hear the vehicle driving out, and I run outside and I stop the vehicle and say, "Where are you going?" No, I don't need this. I'm fine. I can do it on my own. And so I just calm them down and I get them in, and we sit and we chat. And quite often, right in the beginning of the chat, they realize, okay, this is actually quite a comfortable place. As you can see, we sit on nice couches here. It's comfortable. I have tea and coffee, and that just relaxes them, and then we start to talk. And so the first step is actually for a person to be able to get themselves out of a mindset that they're okay when they're actually not okay. None of us like to admit something. We all, whatever it is, we like to come against that thing. So to be able to get to a person to be able to say, "Listen, just tell me what you want to tell me. It actually doesn't matter." I win their trust over, so they feel that they're not judged. Because we're working with a mind-altering substance, our mind has been actually altered in the way we perceive ourselves, okay, not how someone else perceives us. So if a person's living in a culture of addiction, because it is a culture, and they want to get into a culture of recovery, it's a new culture, their mind has to be re-altered or metamorphosized again, how it was originally created, okay, back to the person that it was, okay, which didn't need the substance. So I've got to get them to understand that you can be the person you're created to be. We've got to metamorphosize or change your mind again, which is possible. Once they realize, hold on, I can actually understand that, their mind is already beginning to be altered in the positive. And then denial actually comes about that actually, you know what, I can admit I can't do this by myself anymore. And can you help me? And once we've got that step, then we're on track. We can go in for it. It's quite easy to get a person to abstain from a mind-altering substance, but that doesn't mean they're recovered. So recovery equals being abstinent, stopping using the substance, but it also needs to be a radical change. And it's a radical change part that needs so much help and so much support. And so I have a couple of different programs I run here. One of them is an outpatients program, and all that material that's given to me and the coaching from that comes from an organization in Durban North I'm involved with called Project Exodus. And so I use their material, and we go through this life-changing process, and we called it a life recovery program because we are recovering life that was stolen from us. But now what happens, though, is your question was, what happens to the other people? Well, if there's a person who's supporting an addict, or hopefully the addict has come to ADCA and now they're in recovery, so they're supporting a recovering addict, that they also need help. But suddenly this person they're supporting mind is actually changing back to how it used to be, and they start to lose all their addiction behavior and their thought pattern. And now the support thinks, what on earth's happening here? How do I deal with this person? They're not lying, they're not stealing my stuff, they're not cheating, they're actually home on time, and they don't actually know how to deal with it because they haven't also changed as the person's changing. So I have what I call a supporters group. And those people needing support, they come to a supporters group, which I run on a Tuesday morning here at ADCA, and I teach them on how to change with the person that's changing. Okay, so they can support. If I don't do that, or a person doesn't understand it, or they don't comprehend addiction, they'll end up enabling the recovering person back into addiction instead of empowering them to have a sustainable recovery. That answer your question?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Long-winded, but it needs to come out so people can understand.
I get it. Thank you. And I do remember we originally wanted a guest speaker to come and join us. You said his name was Richard?
Correct.
He unfortunately cannot join us today. I do remember you mentioned, though, that there is a little something about him on the website, telling his story. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, correct. So there are a couple of stories on my website, and some really good positive stories. And one of them is just a short video clip of Richard. He's a friend of mine. He's been with me here for about 2.5 years. And it's worth going to have a look at my website and having a look on there. There's loads of information. There's loads of information about my programs, all different forms of drugs and what the effects of them are. And pop on and have a look at it. It's all there.
That's fantastic. And now, something, a little known secret, which I only knew once you told me, is that there's a whole other side to ADCA, and there's so much other work that you do, like the feeding scheme. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm not a person who sits still for long, Zoe. I get dreams and visions, and I start to run with them. So a while ago, about 6 months ago, I just felt that I needed to be more in touch with our local community around us, and a way to get in there is to feed some people. And if I look at examples in the Bible, Jesus spoke to people's stomachs before he spoke to them. And so what I did is I started a hot meal initiative. That's what I call it. But it's not a soup kitchen. It's not secondhand. It's not food that's expiring. I've got a group of people, volunteers, who bring fresh produce. Okay, they buy fresh produce and they come and they chop it up. Okay, on the morning. So I've got another whole group of people having fellowship. And whilst chopping it up, we chat, and the ladies obviously talk more than they chop, but we've got a couple of guys who get the majority of the chopping done. No, I'm just teasing. And then I cook it up. Yeah, I've got a big pot that I've been loaned to me at the moment. I cook it up and I make a proper meaty stew. It's a good protein stew, and that goes out to a whole lot of people in the area. I do that once a week, and it gets me just a communication with them. It gets them out. And I found in that time of chopping up and cooking that people are asking what's happening at ADCA, and I've had a whole bunch of people actually send people or family members to recovery at ADCA or to the supporters at ADCA. So it sort of has a lot of influence for ADCA as well, not just for the food side.
Now, Rex, in ending this interview, what can people do from an outside perspective in terms of supporting you to help you do your work, whether it be donations, whether it be with your feeding scheme? What can people do, and how do they go about helping?
Yeah, good question. Thanks very much. So ADCA is a non-profit organization, and it's also a PBO, which is a public beneficiary organization. So any form of donation, I can give a registered tax certificate, which is great for tax return for a business or a company, anything like that. Yeah. I only survive on donations, okay? But I would not ever stop ADCA because of no donation. Okay, this is something that's in my heart that I just can't stop. So it's great. So we do that. So you can go to my website, on ADCA website, and the donation form's on there, and all the details are also on there. I'm also can be phoned or emailed. You'll see it's all on my website.
Now, Rex, how can people find you?
So we are situated in Mhlali village, behind Ringside Boxing. It's quite easy. There's a huge big sign up on the wall there, and you just come down. It's quite safe. It's secluded, so not everyone thinks, oh, what's the person doing walking out of there? Okay, I never have anyone ask any questions or anything. And normally for the first time people feel, oh, I'm afraid people are going to think I'm a big drug addict. It doesn't work like that. There's just a stigma. In fact, there's just a flawed belief, so people don't come here. So it's easy to find, lots of parking, pop in, and I'm here every day, and you can buy appointment. You can come and see me, and then we'll get you into formulate a program that's best for the person in recovery or for the person needing support.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to sit with us today. I hope we get the chance to do it again soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for coming.
Good morning everyone and welcome to your weather for today, brought to you by Ballito Gas and Fry. We have a high of 23 degrees and a low of 15 degrees. The real feel will be 22 degrees, the real feel shade 20 degrees. We have a southwesterly wind at 19 kilometers per hour and wind gusts at 39 kilometers per hour. So dit is verseker nie rokkie weer vandag nie. We have 0% chance of showers. The sunrise will be at 6:43 a.m. and the sunset at 5:22 p.m. Next up will be your surf report, brought to you by 1018 Skryfbehoeftes and Deon Bosman from Victory Surf. See you tomorrow.
Good morning, Ballito, and welcome to Thursday morning's beach report. And what a beautiful morning out there with light westerly breezes and a nice 1 to 1.5 meter swell at all the beaches. So really, really good conditions. I would highly recommend you get out this morning because that westerly is going to come through again this afternoon at 2 o'clock and make things a little unpleasant. But very good conditions right now. Small 3-4 feet waves at most of the beaches. The main beach is looking really good, and the swell direction is going to change to a southeasterly swell this afternoon. So tomorrow morning, save this date. Tomorrow morning is going to be epic. Get ready for today, and tomorrow is probably even better. Enjoy your day. We'll chat again tomorrow.
Welcome back, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us this morning. A special thanks to our guests, supportive sponsors, and you at home for watching. We will be back again tomorrow morning between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. And do not forget, Laugh Out Larry will be next after GMNC. But before that, we're going to be having a music video by Elmboog. But for me, it's until next time. Bye.
Manne kom sit in 'n kring. Ons moet praat oor 'n lelike ding. Daar spel van ons, julle almal ken hom mos. Hy drink nou vragtig gin. Hy speel nog superbroer. Maar wag, hier's nog 'n klou. Hy's groot gebou, hy's 'n lekker ou. Op sy arm staan I love you. Kyk hom in die oë, Elmboog na bo. Gee hom 'n oorloop en huis, al raak hy dof en grys. Trap daai proppie, gooi daai doppie. Ek's bang ek het jou verloor. Gee hom 'n oorloop en huis, en wys hom met die vuis. Skink daai glasie, en moenie raas nie. Het jy my roepstem gehoor? Ek sal hom moet gaan vra, Is hy kwaad vir iemand daar? By die man se apteek, dis week vir week, wat hy nou gin ronddra. Ek weet hy sukkel soms, met harde hout maar ons. Dis hier vir hom, as hy wil praat, oor wat hy nou moet maak. Kyk hom in die oor, Elmboog na boor. Gee hom 'n oorlof en ys, al raak hy dof en grys. Trap daai proppie, gooi daai doppie. Ek's bang ek het jou verloor. Gee hom 'n oorlof en ys, en wys hom met die vuis. Skink daai glasie, en moenie raas nie. Het jy my roepstem gehoor? Gee hom 'n oorlof en ys,